In this video, we're going to be taking a look at 6 decks you can play for the SYNCHRO Festival. These will range from budget options to more expensive options. For the most part, the SYNCHRO decks are pretty cheap on the main deck. Where the investment comes in terms of ultra rare is really the extra deck. But let's go ahead and get started with the best budget option that will not be top tier. You will take some L's, but if you're willing to grind it out, you will probably not have to invest pretty much anything if you want to build a Shiranui deck. So if we take a look at the core of the deck, and we're going to go ahead and take out the hand traps and the staple cards, which are usually ultra rares. Like, I don't think you probably need Dark Ruler in this deck actually, but the core of this deck is fairly cheap because you pretty much get all of it from the solo mode, and then the rest of it is just like rares. We take out these as well, even the traps, the spectral sword, and I think that's pretty much it. And I think even the solitaire you get all from the solo mode, the Shiranui story. And then for the extra deck, you get the Shogun Saga from the story mode as well. So the only real investment potentially is the new card, Ghost Meets Girl. Even though this is an ultra rare, you probably will not craft it for this event, but this card is essentially Dimension Barrier, which is banned for this event. But this card allows you to block your opponent's synchro plays. So obviously you have to go first in order to set this, so going second it's not very useful, which is why you might not want to craft it. But if you switch over to standard mode, you're going to see Dimensional Barrier here, and it's not legal for the event because it's basically a floodgate shutting off your opponent's entire turn, and you have access to this card in the Shiranui deck, and in the Makayashi deck if you wanted to play that as well, which is an option, but it's a lot more expensive because it requires you to have more ultra rares. But yeah, this is one cheap deck, and then the extra deck is, like I said, pretty much just normal rares, and then the supers you get from the story mode as well. The additional things that you may want to craft for this deck, Coral Dragon is a good Synchro 6 opposed to the Samurai Saga, and this gets you a discard destroy, and when it goes to the graveyard you draw one. And then aside from that, you probably want to get the archetype specific Shiranui Sun Saga. This card is an ultra rare, and so it likely will mean one craft. As a Synchro 10 though, maybe you say you don't want that and you just opt for the better Synchro 10s and Baron and or the Chen Ying. And then of course you can also get the structure deck zombie synchros. These are also good options as well, mainly just the Red Eye Zombie Dragon here as your Synchro 10, so it can be useful. You don't need to play Excel Synchro Stardust, but it's in the packs right now, so if you crack a few packs open and you got this, it's going to be a good card for a lot of decks moving forward. This card works very well with this deck since the Spectral Sword is a level 2 tuner, and I think you can also even play the Shinobi Necro. So you can even put this in there as another level 2 to bring back with the Excel Synchro, and then this is an instant Synchro 10. So if you have, the Red Eyes alone is a good Synchro 10, as well as the archetype specific boss monster. So you can see there that the deck is pretty good. Again, it's not top tier, but it's cheap and it's going to get you where you want to be. Instead of Dark Rulers, you could sub these up for something else. Evenlies are just supers. You should have Imperms, Ashes, and Maxis by now, Called Bys, and Crossout. These will help you combat the more competitive decks for sure, just hand trapping your opponent, shutting them down, and then if you can play around any interruptions and evenly match them, you will likely win the game because this deck can put out a lot of damage in one turn. So, and then you can set up like the trap card and stuff if you have it, floodgates. So going second, it can do work, which is why I opted to say Dark Ruler might be a good option. Forbidden Droplet might be a good option as well, and Nibiru might be a good option, but again, these are ultra rares, but they do come in the bundles that you can get in the store, so you get one of each for free, or 700 gems essentially. But again, you can use other board breakers. You can use Raigeki, you can use Dark Hole, which is just a super rare. There are other things you can use to supplement these ultra rares if you don't want to craft them. So moving on from Shiranui, probably the deck most people will link up with, or not link, synchro up with the synchro event is Swordsoul. So this is a very good deck despite Moyi being limited to 1. You have multiple ways to get to your Moyi. You definitely want 3 of this. Don't know why I only have 2 in the deck. You definitely want 3. Cut something else for that, maybe the Duster. But yeah, Moyi is the heart and soul of Swordsoul, which is why they limited it to 1. But you probably still only want to run 2 Taya, 2 Longyang, 3 Incredible Ecclesia, which can get you into the Moyi or the Taya. You still play the Tenyi engine, 3 Adhara, 2 Vishuddha, and 2 Ashuna. Again, the hand traps are staple, and you can also play 2 Tenyi Spirit Shatana. This is good because even as a level 4 free special summon, the Ecclesia could be a free special summon as well if you go second, and this is a tuner, so you can synchro off the Shatana and the Ecclesia without even needing to tribute it off to go into like a Taya or a Moyi and get you into your Synchro 8 plays. And then we look on here, opting to play 3 Nibiru, double Dark Ruler, which again, you may not need the Dark Rulers in this deck. I just put them in there for safety reasons. 3 Emergence, another way to get to your 1 Moyi, so you have 6 different ways right there. And then on top of that, you have Circle. So if you special summon one of the Tenyis and you have Circle, you can tribute that and then add another Worm monster from your deck to your hand. So, you don't use your normal summon, you tribute it off, you get your Moyi. So there's a number of different ways to get Moyi. And then aside from that, the core engine is actually relatively cheap. The 1 Moyi is just an ultra rare. And, Swordsoul is a pretty good deck, even if you wanted to play it, let's say, outside of this event. But if you take away the ultra rare staples and or tech cards, you can see that the core of the deck is really just the 1 Moyi. And, it's a good deck to build for regular rank mode, so you probably invest in more Moyis. But, yeah, this is not bad. The money, again, comes into the extra deck. The Draco Berserker you probably want. Double Chi-Sao you would want. People say this card is very good. I don't really make it all that much, but I'm not an advanced Swordsoul player, so I'm sure there's a lot of tech with the Chao Fang. But I definitely know you would want the Chen Ying, the I forget how to say this name. Chi-Sao, that's it. No, Chi-Sao is this one. I don't know how to say this one. I'm just going to call him Long Young, okay? You can also go into the Ice Jade Synchro, Psychic End Punisher, because level 7 and level 4 could make the level 11. But I'm missing Baron from this extra deck for some reason. You definitely want Baron. That's the main card you'll probably make. Don't know how I forgot that. But yeah, you definitely want Baron in there, so you cut something. You can, or you may decide to use the Adamancipator Risen Dragite just because your only waters are Shatana and the Moyi. So you need to have a water engrave to use this effect, but it is an option. Then you just supplement it with more just like super rare tech cards. You can probably play 3 Baxia too, to be honest. Baxia is like literally the best synchro to make it. Breaks board, stuff like that. You got Crimson Blader and you got Yazi as well. So Swordsoul also a good option. Moving on to the next deck. One that is also considered kind of budget would be Ancient Warriors. The ultra rare Ancient Warrior monster is banned, so the core of this deck is really just the super rares, and that's pretty much it. You don't play an extra deck with this deck. The only reason I have the Wind Pegasus is because I'm running Ultimate Slayer. So again, if you go second, this deck can OTK going second still, I'm pretty sure, without the ultra rare monster if you get a decent enough hand. But yeah, if you want to play Ultimate Slayer, you just put 2 Wind Pegasus in here as synchro targets, because obviously in this event all you do is spin away synchros, and then this card gets you a free you can banish this card from your graveyard, target 1 card your opponent controls, shuffle it into the deck. So it's a free follow-up out. Not only do you get to return a synchro monster that your opponent has back into the extra deck, you also can banish this from the graveyard and spin another card as well. So you can tech this into any deck, but in this deck it works, I think, a little bit better than most because you have the space to add these cards in. But yeah, if you take out the staple cards again, you're going to see that the deck is pretty much just a couple of supers. You got your Fire Formation Tenkis, you got a couple Ancient Warrior cards here. Not sure why this made it in there. This probably was a mistake. That's not supposed to be there. But yeah, so you got Masterful Sun Mo, Graceful Zhu. I'm not gonna pronounce the names. I'm gonna butcher these Chinese names. This guy, okay. 2 of this guy. I would play 2 of the Ingenious just because this is a negate for Spell and Trap, which I always value. 1 of the Fearsome, okay, 1 of the Savage, 1 of the Loyal, 2 of the Valiant, and then just board breakers from there. So Gamseal, the Rogeki, which is free in solo mode. Again, Ultimate Slayer is kind of a tech card. And then 3 of the Ancient Warrior continuous spell, 3 visits. You can play the other continuous spells as well if you want. Again, you don't have to invest heavily in the teched out version, but this is a decent deck. And again, you likely have a lot of super rare points, so you can put it towards this, and then you just play kaijus. You don't have to play the super rare ones. You can play the rare ones, but this one being low attack, your ancient warriors can beat over them pretty easily. They also like have buffs and stuff, so it's not a big deal if you have a bigger kaiju. But you definitely want to practice with the deck to see how it works. But you can see that it can be very, very effective. Another deck that is actually nerfed, I thought it was going to be probably the best deck, but I do see that they nerfed it a little bit, was Speedriod. And this deck is really good because it can play through multiple interruptions. So again, taking out all of the staple cards here, or hand traps tech cards, you can see that the core of the deck is, yeah, pretty cheap. A couple of super rares, 1 Terratop limited to 1, 3 card turbo, 1 scratch, which is limited to 1 in this event, 1 wheel, which is also limited to 1, and then double small world, which I think you can bridge pretty much everything more or less in this deck with small world. But again, where the money comes in is the extra deck. So you do have to invest quite heavily if you build this deck in the extra deck, and you do need pretty much most of these synchro cards in order to properly set up. Playing against this deck, like if you resolve Terratop and get the double yo-yo into rotation, it's pretty much like instant Baron to floor and like a couple other synchros. I think like you put up such a strong board just with like this 1-2 card combo. Yeah, it's pretty insane. Without the rubber band though, it does hurt the deck a little bit, like the link monster that they use. So I'm not sure how effective this deck would be. If you don't have it already, I probably would not recommend you build this. But obviously this is a deck, and this is one of the versions that has done well already on day 1 of the Synchro event. Moving along, we now look at what, again, most people probably think of when they think Synchro event in Virtual World. And you can supplement this with the Punk cards. It works really well. So Jester as a level 1 because it can help you with the level 6 Virtual World card, which I don't remember where it is. I think it's this, yeah, these two here, to make level 7 Synchros. Well, this one, the Roshi, Lao Lao, because this is a tuner, and then you use it with the Jester. And you can make a couple level 7s. Like the only level 7 you really make is Black Rose, I guess. If you want that. If not, you can cut this small engine, but this is like an instant like wipe the field. And again, if you cut all of the hand traps, we'll go over the full deck list here in just a second. This one doesn't really play imperms. I think that's it. You got 2 Jester, 2 Nyan Nyan, 2 Lulu because it's limited to 2, 3 GG. Okay, 3 Xiamen, super rare, 1 Deer Note, so that is the only ultra rare in the main deck, 3 Lao Lao, 3 Lily, 1 Foxy Tune only, 3 of the Kowloon, 3 of the Qinglong, 2 Qinglong, and then 2 emergency teleports, since you can get like, all of these level 3 psychics. You can even throw in, what do you call it? The card that just got limited in Psyframe. In TCG. So you could throw in the Psyframe Gear Gamma. It's also limited to 2, just as more hand traps, but the space is pretty tight with this deck. 2 of the Gate and 1 of the Zanwu. The extra deck for this one, again, depending on what you want, you really only need like the Juju, I don't know if I'm saying that right, and the Shen. These are the 2 Synchro Virtual World cards, and then the Punk card is the Jam Dragon. So aside from that, you can put in whatever Synchro 8s you want as utility cards. Synchro 9, since again, your 6s and 3s, so a couple of Synchro 9s also help. Like this Vermilion Dragon mech is also useful. And then I guess Synchro 10s, I haven't really explored how you make the Synchro 10s yet, but you have a couple of those, and then the Psychic and Punisher as well. So yeah, this is also a decent option. This is probably one of the better decks for the event, just because it's Virtual World, and it's very easy to kind of combo off with it, and then backed up by hand traps, you're in a pretty good position. Moving on, the Ghoti deck is also a kind of a budget-friendly version of a deck you could play. If we take out again the hand traps, you're going to see that the investment is kind of minimal. It's just the super rare Paces. Okay, Schiff, Zep. I would probably opt to play the Assault Synchron version, but you don't have to. Okay, Silent Angler, Lifeless Leafage, again, just rares, commons. Menai Ruka. Okay, Sneopsis, I don't know how to say that. Oh, I guess triple Nibiru again. Piri, just because it searches the paces. One of the field spell, which again you don't need to play, and then one of the trap card. The extra deck, pretty much everything in here is super rare. Again, you don't necessarily need these synchros, but they are nice additional options. But you can cut these out technically, especially if you're cutting the Assault Synchron, you can cut the Excel Dragon. And then the rest of it is, yeah, just like the archetype specific Ghoti card. I actually put an in-depth deck list on this like weeks ago, ahead of like when the event was first announced, and I was like, yeah, Ghoti's actually pretty cheap because the core of the deck is basically just these two ultra rares. Like all these other ultra rares are just supplemental cards. You obviously want a Baron. I don't know how I forgot Baron in this deck as well, but yeah, I mean, you don't even need all of these Synchro 10s because this is the main one you're making, and like Baron is probably the second one you make. Chen Yang and the Ice Jade are third and fourth options, so you can probably even just cut those and just like make sure you have at least one of the Ghoti, probably two if you're opening the packs, and then one Baron. So yeah, like the ultra rare investment in this is like minimal, and then you just tech it out with hand traps, all the hand traps that you would want to slow down your opponent. You can opt to play board breakers as well, dark rulers, droplets you could play since you know you're bringing stuff back that's been banished, so you know you have extra materials for droplet. But yeah, you can play like additional board breakers too if you want. So a lot of ways to tech out this deck, which makes it a good option, I think, for the event. I'll link in the description the deck that I posted the in-depth version on. And then the final deck is one that I'll be playing on this particular account. What you saw in the beginning clip most likely is SYNCHRO Mathmech, which is crazy to say, Mathmech without its Xyz monsters, but it works. You could see how it works. Basically, you know, in that match that I posted, it was kind of crazy that I was going up against a mirror match, which is crazy. But, you know, you put this in the extra monster zone, it's going to be unaffected. You put the Billion Blade on it, and opponents should have a hard time outing this, especially when you back it up by hand traps. You know, they're going to have to get a you know, big Synchro monster on the field to beat over this, which is possible. But again, if you're interrupting them with like Imperms and Called Bys and Ash Blossoms and, you know, making them play under Max C, you might even want to have like Nibiru. Yeah, I think you probably want to play 3 Nibiru, because if you Nibiru them, I don't think this card goes away, unaffected by card effects except Mathmech cards, so that it would stay under Nibiru. And then let me see, there's the Billion Blade. Let's see. If the equipped monster battles an opponent's monster, during damage calculations, send one Mathmech monster from your deck to the graveyard. The equipped monster gains the attack equal to the sent monster's attack. So yeah, even if your opponent puts up like a 3500 Synchro monster to try to beat over this, if you have it equipped with the Billion Blade, which you saw in the clip, I can go over the combos too if you guys are interested in seeing gameplay of this. Let me know in the comment section. But yeah, I mean, you just send like anything, right? You gain 1,000 attack. They need 4,000 attack to beat over your Mathmech Final Sigma. It's unaffected by everything in the extra monster zone. Yeah, and it's crazy. Like, I mean, you probably even want to play 3 multiplication now that I think about it, because the more you send multiplication, the more you double the attack of this monster in the extra monster zone. They're not beating over this at 6,000, you know, 7,000, 8,000 attack. So, or it only gains 500. So it'll be at 35 times 2, 7,000 attack. They're not beating over that, right? So yeah, the Billion Blade is crazy with this card. Obviously, Mathmech is a bit of an investment, though. I told you guys that this was going to be a good deck. You know, all you guys said like, oh, the Yoshizu Shufflers. I was like, those things are going to get limited. They got limited. The Bistios are a little bit of a problem. People are playing them for sure. But Mathmech, the Bistios will get limited without a doubt, because they kill too many decks in this game. Yeah, I don't know. I just took out the wrong cards here. Anyways, I lost my train of thought. This is going to be the last thing, though, so we're going to wrap up this video soon. Let's go back in, and let's take a look at what we are cutting to actually invest outside of the hand traps. And the nice thing is that this card is actually in the packs. So all you really need, I mean, I think you definitely want like at least like probably like 2 or 3 Nibirus. But the Signet Minings come in the Salamangreat structure deck. And, you know, that's 1,500 gems investment if you don't have it already. But the Circulars and the Sigmas, and even this super rare, and actually all of the super rares except for like Small World, they all come in the same pack. So, you know, Singular Strike Overthrow, you open up maybe like 4,000 or 5,000 gems worth of this pack. You probably get most of what you need, because again, they all come in this pack. So that's what's nice about this deck. And again, it's not a top tier deck for the event, but it can get the job done, and obviously it's going to have utility later on. I don't know. They limited this card in TCG. I hope they don't do it in Master Duel, but Mathmech is a very strong deck, especially when Bystials fall out of the formats. When Kashtira comes, Bystials will definitely fall out of the format. Mathmech will become a better deck, and I think Bystials will get hit anyways. Regardless, though, you can see that this deck is a viable deck for the Synchro event. So hopefully that helped you gain some insight into what decks are available. I guess before we go, we can kind of click over the cards. So you play Garbage Collector because it's the ultimate bridge with Small World. Small World, any Mathmech card in hand into this card gets you into any Mathmech card in your deck. So you only want one of it because you don't want to draw it. You want to keep it in your deck to bridge with Small World. And then 3 Sigma, this is a tuner, special summonable from hand or grave. 3 Nabla, again another tuner that when sent to graveyard, you can make a monster in the extra monster zone attack twice. So you can have like your Geomathmech at 7,000 attack. If it also got buffed by multiplication, attack 2 monsters. 2 addition, 2 subtraction. These are non-tuners. 2, probably you want 3 multiplication as a non-tuner. 3 diameter, normal summon, bring back a tuner, instant synchro 8. And then, yeah, 3 circular, the best starter in the game or starter in the deck for Mathmech. Probably 2 or 3 Nibirus, 3 Signet Mining, 1 Equation, 3 Small World, 1 Billion Blade. So keep note that off circular, you only have 2 search targets, Billion Blade and Equation. Okay, double called by, cross out, triple imperm, and then the extra deck, just Synchro 8s, and then the only Synchro 12, because I think that's the only one you can really make. So Red Dragon Archfiend, Crimson Blader, Hot Red Dragon Archfiend. You can put in any Synchro 8s that you have, so if you have ultra rare ones, throw them in here. But the ones that you need really are Geomathmech Magma and Geomathmech Final Sigma. Magma, when it destroys a monster, destroys 2 other cards on the opponent's field, so it's pretty good actually. Keep in mind though that oftentimes when you use the Mathmech card's effects, it will lock you into Cyber's special summoning. So you can see here for the rest of the turn, except you cannot special summon monster from the extra deck for the rest of the turn except Cyber's monster. So that locks you out of like all of your other Synchro 8s if you use the Sigma effect to special summon when there's no monster in the extra monster zone. But again, you mostly go into these anyways. So I think I actually ended up crafting a second one of the Synchro 8. Yeah, I did. And I actually had 3 of the ultra rares that I never dismantled. So yeah, that's going to do it for this video, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed and gave you some ideas for what you can use. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section below. But there's a lot of choice. Let me know what you're using and if you've had any success. Thank you for watching though. Quantum is out.